what's up guys? Amir, I'm back at it again with another video, and today we're going to talk about bullying, all right? And we're also going to talk about a little bit of Aikido, all right? I'm going to tell you a few stories that happened to me at a young age, and hopefully I'll break down a few different moves that I learned from my father that will assist you or your loved ones in making sure that they can remain bully proof, and maybe it'll help you guys out. Plus, I get to share some stories with you. All right, I get to reminisce. I have some cocoa and we'll talk. So go grab yourself a beverage of your liking, and hopefully you enjoy the stories that I'll tell you. All right, so I got myself a cup of tea. You ready? Let's go back to like 6th or 7th grade. All right, I know we're going back pretty far. All right, but this is the time in a young individual's life where they start socializing more, and it's more intersexual, I would say. So boys and girls and whatnot, and puberty starting to hit. You know what I mean? So guys are more aggressive, girls are whoop whoop, you know, doing their thing. So in this story, I was hanging out with this dude that was, I consider him a friend, and we go up these stairs and we start talking amongst a group of guys, and all of a sudden a group of girls kind of join this circle of conversation, and I'm already in foreign territory. All right, because at that point, I think it was like 6th grade, it's like I didn't really socialize with the opposite sex much, you know? And we're talking, and then all of a sudden, this dude that I was hanging out with, he was kind of fat, right? I'm not shaming the guy, but he was fat, right? And he was taller than me, probably a good 6 or so inches taller than I am. Probably outweighed me by like 80, 100 pounds. He decides to all of a sudden, when the girls are there, he has never done this before in his life, grab me by the back of the neck like this. Can you see that? Yeah. So he goes bang and grabbed me by the back of the neck. And it wasn't like, oh, like my boy, you know? No, it was like, grab me by the back of the neck. They try to play with my neck, you know what I mean? I got a skinny neck. I'm a strong guy, but I got a skinny neck. And I gotta do some more neck training. But besides the point, grab me by the back of the neck. And all of a sudden, I could feel the energy of the group kind of look at me, look down on me a little bit. Like, I felt like emasculated or some whatever. And I could have been that guy who just gets played with from the back of the neck. But no, that's not me. So my dad luckily taught me some moves. So when he puts his hand behind his hand around my neck, I go to the guy. You know, I know a move. I didn't just bang hurt the guy, right? Because then it becomes aggressive, right? And it becomes like this fight. Instead, I don't really care. I just want you not to disrespect me, right? So I say, look the guy in the eyes to see his temperament, right? And then I go elbow over. I'm like, watch, look at this. I'm gonna take your hand off me. Like this, and like that. I squeeze his arm off me. Something like this. Haven't done it in a while. My dad taught it to me and it worked. And the guy goes, ah, how do you do that? Show me. And I went from being the guy who could have just easily been the guy who got his neck flimsily played with, to the guy who's teaching a self-defense move. Like that. Right? So that's how I started realizing, oh man, this stuff can actually work. Right? Wow. Also, the ladies had a little more respect for me. Even the other guys, a little more respect for me. Instead of being the guy who's played with his neck, you end up being the guy who's teaching, right? And you can hold your ground a little bit, right? Obviously, it wasn't a physical fight, but you assert yourself a little bit, all All right, that's number one. Story number one. All right. Story number two. Which one do I want to tell you guys? Story number two was, should we go more aggressive? Yeah, let's go more aggressive. Story number two was 11th grade, 10th or 11th grade, high school. I've used the moves here and there, right? And I used the push-pull dynamics that I learned from a young age. I got a lot of yelling done at me, but I learned the moves. And I learned them so well that I could apply them in different scenarios to my advantage. And I'll tell you the idea that I'm learning here. It's essentially push-pull, all right? So when someone pushes you, you pull them. When someone pulls you, you can push them, right? And also understanding circular motion, right? And how to use your opponent's force against them, all right? So 10th or 11th grade, I forget. But it was me and this other 10th or 11th grader. I'm going to say 10th grade. And we were taking this elective. It was an intro to business course. And there were these guys in the class that were seniors, all right? Thuggish kind of guys.
Bloody American thugs.
And the first day of class, we walk into class, and this guy, who's a stocky dude, he goes, "Come shake my hand. Come here." I'm like, "Nah, man, what do you want?" He goes, "Come here, shake my hand." I'm like, "What are you doing right now?" But anyways, all 3-4 guys made us go shake this guy's hand. I go up to him, and when I shake his hand, he immediately grabs me by my wrist. All right? When he grabbed me by my wrist, there's a few different escapes depending on how people grab you by the wrist, right? I immediately, it's all about reaction time. You can't let the person grab you completely, especially if there's a very drastic strength disparity, meaning someone is significantly stronger than the other person. It's hard to execute, right? But it's still doable. But you got to react quickly. So the moment he grabbed me by my wrist, before he could even lock his fingers like this towards the thumb, right? Out. The guy was like, "What?" He was baffled a bit. Then he goes, "All right, come back. No, you got to come back. Come back." Like in the commanding voice. The guys that he was like hanging out with were kind of also in shock, like, "Come on, bro, grab the guy. Don't let the chicken get loose." Anyways, these guys were huge. I'm like, "All right, last time." I go in, I shake his hand. Immediately this time he comes with the other hand. Instead of grabbing me with the hand, his left hand, he grabbed me with the right hand. So I pull towards me. As soon as he pulls back, right? So I pull a little bit just to give him some tension. As soon as I saw him try to yank me, I went with him. And I kind of like turned my wrist. And I moved. And I went and sat back down. The guy, I swear to God, the guy was baffled. He was like, "This little mother, he got out." But the few other guys, right, the gangsters, respected me. All right? They started calling me T.I. For those of you who know who T.I. is, a rapper, he has a bit of a, I used to wear this coat, puffy South Pole jacket, right? Because I was so skinny, I was a bit insecure, to be honest. So I wear the jacket to feel more confident. That made me feel a little more puffy, you know? And they called me T.I. from that point on. Unfortunately, there was another boy in the class about my size, all right? A little bit, probably weighed 10 more pounds than me. He went up there, he shook the guy's hand. He didn't know they escaped. I swear to God, they made this guy go under the table. That guy kicked him. He made him make animal noises. He would hold his hand, he would say, "Make a cow noise. Make a cow noise." He would kick him. And the guy was going, "Bah, bah, meow." He made him do all these noises. I swear, it was crazy. The kid probably traumatized. Cool guy. The guy was awesome. Hopefully he's gotten over it. But it just shows knowing a few different moves to defend yourself can either make you become a victim or you can learn how to stand up for yourself. And these few moves, okay, they might not work against a tenured martial artist, right? But against the average civilian who doesn't know much, that's all you need usually. You know? It's always good to keep learning and learn different moves and better yourself. But a few different moves can make a difference in someone's life. All right, that's scenario number 2. All right? Scenario number 3. Ready for this? I'm in math class. I remember the teacher. Cool guy. All right? I'm sitting in class, and I think it was pre-algebra, something like that, or algebra, probably algebra 2 or something. Algebra 2, I think. And the guy next to me failed. All right? I'm not going to say his name, but he would always tell me these fascinating stories about his life, and they were very entertaining. I can't really share them because they were a bit explicit, but the guy was well known for being like kind of like a gangster. He would smoke cigarettes, Lucy's they call them. He got into fights. He was like always with the ladies. He was a ladies' man. Props to him. And he would always like get in trouble, detention, all that stuff, right? Mainly the fighting and stuff like that was what got him in trouble. But he was a little bit on the chubbier side. And one day he comes to class, all right, and he decides to act up. I'm sitting in my class, there before the bell, right? He comes in, and as he's walking behind me, he pretends to swipe his butt, like as he's walking behind me. Let me show you. He's walking behind me, right? He pretends to like put his butt on me, right? I get out of my chair. I'm like, hey, dude, cut it out. Cut it out, man. What the hell are you doing? I get out of my chair, and he's over here like teasing. He's like messing around. He's going like, you know, and he's being funny to the point where he made me laugh, to be honest. And I start laughing and whatnot, and he laughs. Other people are laughing. But then he acts serious all of a sudden. He really tries to put his butt on me. I'm like, dude, cut it out, right? Anyways, bell rings. We sit down, move on. But I knew I was going to have, like, when he walked in and he started doing that shit, I knew I was going to have a hard day with him. You know what I mean? He's going to give me some trouble today. Later on during class, he blows his nose. He throws his tissue on me. I'm like, dude, you throw that shit at me again, I'm going to make you effing eat it. All right? The guy was like, come on. I'm still surprised at, you know, how confident I was at the time, but I really meant it, you know? I was channeling, I don't know, my father's Ethiopian martial artist side. But he threw his tissue at me again. All right? I swear, he threw it again. I picked it up, my fingertips again. I held it, and he looked at me like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? I swear to God. Picked it up, like quickly, tried to throw it in his mouth. I didn't get it all the way in, but it got enough to the point where he got pissed off. All right? Yes, you could argue. You could raise your hand and say, Mr. He's throwing his tissue on me. But then you're like a pansy. You're a softie. And I didn't want to be that guy. I wanted to be the guy that could handle himself. But I was small. But not small enough. Like I trained, I was fast, I was strong, I did push-ups, I did calisthenics and whatnot. But compared to these seniors, I wasn't, you know? And he gets up. Immediately when I put the tissue in his mouth, he stands up. He grabs me. I'm not sure if I stood up or not, but he grabbed me by my jacket. Remember that South Pole jacket I told you about? He grabbed me by it, like this. So he's here. With his left hand, he grabs me here. Right? My dad taught me these Aikido moves, and I would slightly, depending on how the people did stuff, I understood them so well that I could finagle my way in most situations. So when you grab me like this, my dad taught me this move when someone grabs me, how I can I pull, they push back, something like, and how I could turn my elbow and their arm gets turned. I kind of manipulated it a bit. So when he grabbed me, I put I moved my head under. So imagine he's grabbing me here. I put my hand behind his arm. So when he grabbed me, I put my head behind his arm. I know this looks weird. And I stand up, put my head behind his hand. So now my head, instead of him being behind me, my head is behind his hand, right? And both these hands, I slam with all my weight, all right? And the guy's face, his hand goes like this, and he gets slammed on the table. And I swear to God, as soon as I did it, I sat back down like Spider-Man. The whole class. I sat in my chair so quickly, I'm still shocked to this day. It's like a scene out of Spider-Man, I swear to God. Pow! You hear a smack on the table. Everyone turns. I'm sitting in my chair. I'm heated. I'm heated. All right? Adrenaline like this is booming. And the professor goes, "What the heck is going on?" I don't know. I talk to this guy. Tell him what he's doing. You know? And he goes, "Come here." I got a bump. He goes, "Come here. You, come here." Takes him outside, talks to him. That guy was probably shocked at what I did. Alright? And he talks to me. And anyways, long story short, he ended up moving him behind me. The next day, the guy didn't come to class. But the next day, he started ripping off the edges, the crimply parts of the paper, the white part paper, the line paper. He would put them on a ball and he started throwing them. You know, I would wait. I would crumble up a few, hold them to the side. I'd be patient. I'd wait for him to drop his guard, and then I would blast him. But that's not the point I'm trying to say here. That move, he respected me more. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, like this guy, like he would just help me with my math problems, and I was telling him stories, and he kind of like enjoyed the stories. He was like in awe of this life that I lived. But there was like he looked down on me. But the moment he decided to physically, right? What's the word here? Dominate. He realized, oh shit, this guy can hold down his own. Respect. You know? And also, it's psychological. When people say, okay, if I tried one thing on him and he was able to like diffuse it or defend himself, I don't want to push the envelope any further because this guy is like, there's this kind of like mystique around him. I don't know. It's unknown, uncharted territory. If I push further, I might end up being embarrassed. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying I could have. The guy probably was big and he could have probably done some damage, right? But it's psychological. And the moment I was able to nip certain things in the butt, he was like, you know what? I better tread carefully here. This doesn't usually happen. I'm miscalculating something. Something isn't adding up here. Anyways, I'll even go one further now. That's what, 3 stories? Maybe we'll get one more. No, we'll leave it right there. I think that's perfect. 3 amazing martial arts stories. There was one more guy. Maybe I'll throw it in. Bonus story. All right, take one last sip of my tea. All right, bonus story. It's probably happening to your kid or it probably happened to you. All right? Or maybe you're a loved one. Maybe you have a cousin, someone. So during gym, right, the guys, we would all want the best courts. All right? And the best players would get the best courts. The nice rim. And then I wasn't the best, but I was somewhere, I'd say, probably at the B level in the gym class, right? There's probably like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 guys that were maybe the top at basketball. I was good, but I wasn't. I had these weird, finagled, spicy moves that I could use to score on even the best, but I wasn't. I wasn't well rounded like the best. People had height, people had strength, they had competencies at different, I all around, not me. So I always wanted to get the rims, but I didn't always get them, unless people wanted me to play on their team. But this year, I had the good rims. All right, either the first best rim or the second best rim was always mine. This one guy comes to our school, and he gets put into our gym time. And this dude, I swear to God, I'll probably say his name. He was like 6'2". He ends up like always wanting the rim, and I didn't want to be like an ass, so we would let him play with us, shoot around. But he would try to steal our basketballs, and he was a specimen. He was ripped, he was tall, and he looked mean. He was African American, and I'm saying that because that's what he was. He was tall, African American, and he was tough, and he was mean. You know what I mean? And he always wanted to play. We would let him play, but I had to like show him, hey, I can school you a little, and I did, and I ended up showing him that I got talent, but he still wasn't having it. He's like, this little guy. There's no way I'm letting this little guy call the shots. So he always would, even though we put teams, he'd try to fight us. No, I'm playing. I'm doing this. I'm getting on the team. We would let him play. I think it was the first game we versed him, and then we beat him. Like, all right, step off, man. Like, I'll get your team. I'll play you. And he would always try to fight for some reason. I think he wanted to assert his dominance or something. But anyways, one day I'm walking, and like, this is more like psychological, I'd say. But there was a little bit of Aikido. Psychological. So he'd always try to grab me and stuff. All right? But I would always finesse. I swear to God, I don't know how I did it, but I always finesse. He would grab me, next thing you know, I had his hand behind his back like this. It came to a point where he kept trying, but then he kind of stopped trying as much, especially when other people were around. Because he doesn't want to be embarrassed. And one day, we're in the gym, and I'm walking around without a shirt. Skin and bones. And this guy comes up to me, passes me, and he just wails me in the stomach. Knocked the air at him. Knocked the breath at him, I think is the saying. But I didn't want to show him that he knocked the air at him. It wasn't the first time I had my breath knocked out of me. So I knew what it felt like. It felt like you were dying, right? But as soon as he did it, my instinct, I knew it's like you can't breathe, right? But I'm like, I can't show this guy that he just knocked the air at him. Psychologically, he'll feel, whoa, right? So I punched him right back, right? And he rushed at me. Right? When he rushed at me, it's like, I think, a wrestling move. Where you kind of like, you tug someone's, I forget how I did it. But next thing you know, he's rushing at me. It's called, I forget what they call it. He was a big man, but I still did it. I think they call it an arm drag, where you just, like, you kind of like pull their arm across them. And when you rushed, there was like this, on the blue lockers, there was like this wooden thing where you can sit and you can change. And he rushed at me. I kind of hurt. And I just locked up on him. There I am, on this guy's back. Against the lockers. This guy is slamming me. Swear to God. But I'm not letting go. Gotta feel the pain, baby. Gotta feel the pain. I held it for like, I don't know how long, to be honest. Probably 15 seconds, probably 10. Time is confusing when you're in fights. It feels like it's like long, but it's really short. It's crazy. But he kind of like, when I let go, he kind of like, and I just left. But I still maintained like my assertiveness, like, yo, like, don't mess with me, man. Like, we're done. You know? And even after that, he tried me less. He would always mess with other people around me, but he would leave me alone. You know? And that's when I'm realizing, like, these little moves can help people. Especially if you're in middle school, if you have someone in middle school, high school, right? It can like make or break their social life. It can make or break their self-image, their confidence, right? But people that don't really understand these or haven't really applied it to their, like, correctly, they don't really understand the power of these moves. But they're also, you can't be naive. You know, as a man, you want to believe that you can get any girl and you can win any fight, right? But the reality of the matter is that most of us aren't as strong as we really think we are. There's always someone out there who's stronger, better, faster, younger. All right? I'll tell you a last story. I might have to cut it out because we might not have enough time. All right? But I learned this lesson recently. All right? I joined this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA. They have kickboxing as well. It's called, I got one stripe, and then COVID started, and then I kind of stopped. Hopefully I'll go back soon. But I was wrestling with this guy. I'll put a photo of him somewhere here. And he was going easy on me. And I felt like, come on, man. Respect me a little bit. Put in a little more effort. You know? Boy, was I wrong. I had the guy in my guard. And for those of you who do not know what guard is, it's like this. All right? I had the guy in my guard. I'm like, come on, man, are you gonna try? Like, come on. Put in a little more effort. Like, why are you treating me like a child? And he goes, are you sure? You're like, you want a taste? He was like being joked. I forget exactly how he said it and what he said. But he essentially said, do you want me to show you a little bit of the strength that I have? I'm like, yeah. I swear to God. From my guard, he goes, like, puts his hand around my neck. I think it was 2 hands. And he squeezed. And I swear it was probably like maybe 60% of his strength. But nowhere near his full. If it was his full, he probably could have crushed my trachea. You know? But my initial move when someone grabbed me by my neck, especially when we're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is to, I know you guys are going to say it's not effective, but for the sake of learning, I decided to go. And it can be effective if you're fighting one-on-one. But anyways, go. The first move is to go pull the arms down, to give yourself a little bit of space so you can breathe, right? Nope. His arms were not budging, my friend. All right? And that's when I realized, like, this probably, I don't want to do him dirty and say his age. I don't know how old he is. Maybe he's late 30s, you know? But the strength discrepancy can be massive. And I realized that some moves, if the person has significant greater strength, it is very hard to execute the move. Even if you have like amazing tactics, once they lock in, some of these moves can't be like. I see Aikido guys talking about how a girl can escape a rear naked choke once the guy has it locked in. No, out of your mind. That guy will break her in half. All right? If you're talking about a flamboyant person who's very weak, they're softer, right? They're not very fit and strong, right? Yeah, maybe she'll get it. She has a chance. Go for it. Or the young man has a chance. But people that are trained or are strong, or just that are just high testosterone big men, it's hard to fight them. For example, like my dad told me a story about in Ethiopia, how they have these guys who, what do they call them? They call them porters, all right? They're from Ethiopia, and they would carry 100 kilos of whether it's salt, whatever it was. One guy would drop the bag or whatever, the container, and the other guy would carry 100 kilos, which is like 225 pounds or something like this. I think it's 2.25 pounds per kilo. He would pick it up by like, here's a shirt. Let's say this was a bag. He would like this, he would hold it, and he would, 225 pounds, and he would walk with it. And he would do this like for hours. What the heck? So you got to understand, there's some people that are like strength discrepancy. Like you got to be quick. You can't get grabbed and end up being on the floor with someone who is so much stronger than you. Because they'll just snap your neck in half. You know. But yeah, the main reason I made this video was because I wanted to share my experience with how Aikido saved me from being bullied. And hopefully, the takeaway message here is teach your loved one. You maybe might be the person who wants to learn a few Aikido moves, all right? Preferably the ones I mentioned in this video, right? Maybe I'll put links to some videos in the, it was hard for me to find videos, to be honest. If you want, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to find a partner where I could demonstrate a few of the moves that I learned and break them down. So I'm not a teacher. I'm not a martial artist. I dabble a little bit, but I'd be more than happy to break them down for you. Just let me know in the comments. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, right? I'm trying to build my YouTube here. And make sure to hit the subscribe button so you get notified about my next video. All right? Peace.